Running out of time. Do you recognize this? Do you always feel like you have too much to do? That your mind is constantly drowning in chaos? All kinds of thoughts go through your head and there seems to be no end to it. You long for the days in the past, when you probably did not feel this restlessness constantly in your head. You were busy playing or doing other fun things. If only you were a child again. A carefree child who didn't have to worry about anything. Nowadays, there are so many distractions that we can't see the forest through the trees. The balance in our lives is hard to find. Stimuli are coming from everywhere and you feel like you can't stand it anymore. Suddenly, there comes a day where everything is fine again, but then you come home and lack the energy to do anything else. You sit down on the couch and switch through the TV channels. You feel guilty, often towards yourself. Why do I have so little energy, and, even worse, why am I not living the life I want? Why do others get to decide what I do? It's time to take matters into your own hands. Yet, you keep sitting on the couch, even though you know you have to do something. I'll do that tomorrow. You think to yourself. However, tomorrow you are in the same rut, and before you know it, a week, a month, and a year have passed. Nothing seems to have changed. You're ready for rest, ready for a vacation, but you're not in a position to just take time off, or book an expensive holiday. Your mobile phone rings. You don't really feel like picking it up and you push it away. Not now, you're off work and don't feel like getting calls from colleagues. You're ready for some peace and quiet. It's your night off, but you still feel tired. The same days, the same routine, the same ringing. It seems like the days, months, and years are repeating themselves. You drag yourself along through life, wondering why you do what you do. Do you recognize this story? Why are you living the life you don't want, and where did it go wrong? Did it actually go wrong, or is this predestined? Only you know that. In many cases it is pain from a period in your life prior to all of this. Only you can change that, no one else. I'm going to tell you something about having too little time. When we look at the universe, time does not really exist. It is something we have made up ourselves. When the clock was not yet invented, people looked at the position of the sun and the moon. No one worried about time. Time did not exist. Daily rituals came naturally. Of course, they had to make efforts to get food, but they did not know the problem of too little time. How different is our way of life now? We have been taught that time is money. But time seems to be our greatest enemy, especially nowadays. We always have to be on time, our timelines of our schedule completely full. Statements like, "I don't have time for that right now," are everyday occurrences. But we must make time. Time for things that do not matter in our own opinion, but still take up time. I'll tell you something, time is in your head. Everyone has 24 hours in a day. Not a second more or less, but still we manage to run out of time. That's not possible at all, because we only have 24 hours in a day. The only difference is how we use that time for ourselves. We often use the word free time, but dear people, all of our time is our free time. We may use it as we please, decide how we wish to fill up our day. What do you mean, free time and time shortage? Keep these 2 points in mind. From now on, all your time is free time which you can freely make use of. You have 24 hours for that, just like everyone else. You could start by mapping out the 24 hours you have in a day. Break it down into pieces and write down what you spend your time on. This will give you insight into patterns you probably didn't notice before. Think of it as the first step toward a change, a first step toward control over your time. Chart your time without judging. Take a notebook and make some columns so you can keep track. If you do this for 1 month, you already have enough information to reach a conclusion. After that month, you analyze what you have written down. You do not have to share your findings with anyone if you do not want to. The point is that you have access to your time, not anyone else. Now that you have insight into how you spend those 24 hours a day, you can think about which activities you want to perform less, or even eliminate. I'm going to tell you a story about a fisherman. This young man wanted to be a fisherman from childhood. It had always been his big dream. He finally succeeded and felt like a king with his first boat. Like a real fisherman, he went out in the morning and came home tired and content. After a few years he considered buying another boat, so he could earn more, and perhaps not have to work such long hours himself. No sooner said than done. He bought another boat and hired a skipper. Business was good, but it seemed he worked harder than his staff. And in most cases I can tell you that is true. According to him, there was still too little time in a day. Because business was going well, he bought a third boat and took on more staff. This repeated itself several times, after which he looked back on his life with satisfaction. He had built up something beautiful, but it had cost him a lot of time. Many beautiful things passed him by because he was usually at sea. After some time this began to gnaw at him and he wanted more time for himself. He sold his company with the boats and all of his staff. This earned him a good pension, so he had done well. When he retired, however, he fell into a dark hole. He was not used to his daily routine as it was now, and he was extremely bored. He thought it was time for a hobby, which he had never had because of all the sailing he had done. You can take a guess to what he does now. He has become a hobby fisherman. Isn't that crazy? Working your whole life to end up doing the same thing. Do you recognize the moral of this story? Do what you love, now, and not later. Divide your 24 hours as you see fit. It's your time and you get to spend it freely. Of course, we have to work and we have other obligations, but that should never lead to the feeling that you have to do everything. Do you have that feeling? Change it. When we think about it, time is also the only thing we have. Have you ever calculated how much time a life has? You should do that whenever you have the time. When we assume an average age of 85, subtract your current age from that. That's the time you have left to do fun things. Be aware of that. Do you want to allocate future time the same way as the past? It's up to you. It doesn't matter to me. It's your life, your journey. Are you satisfied with your current life? Then you probably wouldn't have watched this video to this point. If you're still here, I'm going to assume that your interest has been piqued in changing something. If so, start by mapping out your time schedule so you can do something with it later. If you persevere, you will not regret it. Realize that time is the most important thing in our lives. Time that we never get back. So, make it worthwhile.